So you're successful already, but you're not happy. So you're successful already and maybe you want better health. You're successful already by the world's standards, but maybe you want more time with your family. Have you ever thought about, I'm successful the way I am, but am I achieving peak performance? And I ask you that because I have none other than Steve Adams on today's episode, CEO of the Tiger Institute and best-selling author. He's going to be sharing with you his peak performance secrets for you to help you grow your company. I'm going to bring him up right after we thank our sponsor. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Adams. Steve, how are you feeling today?
Excellent, Mario. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I am so excited to learn what you have to share because there's a lot of successful people in the world, but I'm not sure all of them are achieving peak performance. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, out of my own story, I was a successful corporate banker and built an entrepreneurial company with a great team to 100 million in revenue, but I burned out. So I had a
And
lot.
800 employees, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct. Yep. And so I had a lot, but I was numb. I was tired, exhausted. I couldn't sleep and was anxious and irritable and lacked emotional control and was on a path of shortening my life because of the way I was living. And so I didn't count that as success. And so when I sold the business to my partners and I took a year off and reevaluated everything, out of that difficult period, the business I'm in now came about.
How long ago was that?
2017 is when I finished up with my last company, and 18 was the year of recovery as well as research. And, this isn't a new subject for me. I've been studying peak performance since I was a college football player in the 80s, because you have to have great mindset and psychology to be successful in business and life and athletics. So it wasn't like it was a new topic for me, but I really did a deep dive in it that year and realized there was some other components to it that I hadn't thought about in the past.
And what was really the crimp in the hourglass, if you will? Because clearly you're successful, and congrats on that. I mean, I was reading your bio, and I was like, wow. Um,
That
but
just means I'm old, Mario.
but there's so much more to it because people just look at that highlight reel, especially like social media nowadays. Wow, they're doing so well. You don't see
Right.
99.99% of the behind the scenes. So what really was it? Was it just you didn't the burnout? Let's say did you not have enough time? Were you just not fulfilled what you were doing? Did you want to spend more time with family? What was the not the crimp in the hourglass? What that phrase? The straw that broke the camel's back.
Camel's
Let's say.
back. Yeah. It was really my health, Mario. I loved what I was doing. I had good relationships in the business,
Okay.
but the real problem was I just hit a place of mental and physical and emotional exhaustion, and it was from the pace. It was I later learned I wasn't breathing right. I wasn't sleeping right. I was not building time for recovery. I was trying to perform continuously instead of having performance cycles. There was all kinds of things. And basically what it is my physiology gave out on me. The body just said, we're done. You're not doing this anymore. And it put me into first gear. And I knew there was something wrong. There's a great book out by somebody that says the body doesn't lie. And that's really what happened. But it was starting to affect my relationships with my partners, with my wife, and children. And that's when I knew I was in danger.
Well, I'm glad. How is it feeling now?
It's feeling great. The medical doctor that I'll talk about, in the episode today, rebuilt me from the ground up, re-engineered me, and integrated the peak performance training that I was putting together with his approach to medicine. And that's kind of what we do now as an organization. And so I'm a living product of it. And, I can tell you that I have the energy of like when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I sleep well. My relationships are all restored. And I've set myself up. Nobody can promise longevity, because there's too many factors that go into that. But I have set myself up from improved odds of having much greater longevity because of the way I'm living today. And what it does is it makes peak performance something that can happen every day for a long time, very sustainable rather than episodic peak performance.
Well, it sounds like you are a transformational success story, because I always ask people that, but what I'm hearing is you were one way, you got tired of it, and you just changed it for yourself, and now you're able to do that with your clients, which is fantastic.
Exactly. I created the tool, the option that I didn't have at the time.
Let me ask you, when you're helping people and they come into the Tiger Performance Institute, what do
Mm-hmm.
you look for in their business to say he or she's got issues and we need to switch them around to achieve that peak performance and get
Mm-hmm.
that balance restored? What are some of the core things you look for that expert authority world should be looking for in their business right now to make sure they're not going on the bad path?
Right. That's a great question, Mario. We're not evaluating their business performance of like the actual business itself. We use multiple media where we share what the profile is of someone who's in trouble with their health and maybe experiencing burnout. And it might be they're not sleeping well, or they feel extraordinarily stressed, or they can't explain why they've put on 30 pounds around their belly, or they have lost their libido, or they've just lost their energy. There's multiple pain points, or they have brain fog. And so our throughout our marketing and our, where we try to educate people, we talk about these pain points and we help them recognize it in themselves first. And then through that process, they usually, elevate up to a discovery call with me. And where no selling, I tell them right up front, nobody's going to say today, I just want you to be transparent with me. And I'm going to ask you about 7 or 8 questions. And with those 7 or 8 questions, I can get to the root of what their issue is. And then I ask them if they would like to continue the process and learn more about what we do. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone, typically they're over 40, but our doctor said we're running into tech people in Seattle. That's where our clinic is in Seattle, Washington, that are in their early 30s, and they're presenting like mid 50s because of the stress and the expectations that are placed on these young people. But usually, typically, it's a person 45 to 65 years old, and they are already successful. They got a great business, are a great profession, but they hit a wall. They're running out of gas, and they don't understand why. And they run into our stuff, maybe my book or our website, and we get them on a call, and then I'm able to help them connect the dots of how we might be able to help them.
Wow. That's great for the 45 to 65 group. I hate the phrase circle back, but
That's what it is.
I want to elaborate and dive deeper on this, the 20 and 30-year-olds in the tech
Sure.
world that are presenting like 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Is it just from the stress?
Yes. And so when you hear me say what I just said, that doesn't mean if you're 25, you can't work with us. We have several products that make sense for someone that's younger, but that's the challenge in our world right now. Mario, in my book, Unleash the Peak Performer Within You, I talk about if you want to have elite performance, you've got to learn how to work in the zone or in the flow state, because the world is an exponentially changing world, an accelerating world, and you can't use old linear approaches like work harder, longer, faster. So flow is an exponential productivity hack.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to get into flow, to be able to do that, you've got to optimize your physiology, your psychology, and how you design your day and your life. Those three things. And the thing that attacks your physiology first in our modern culture is stress. Okay. Because we have devices since 2007, when Steve Jobs introduced that to us, to the world, that changed everything, ushered in the digital era. And so now the expectations for always on, always available, respond in a minute. So people are looking at blue light for hours on end every day, which is destroying their circadian rhythm, which is affecting their sleep. And then on top of that, people are trying to absorb so much change. And so it's just a lot more stressful environment that we live in. And so people are activating the natural stress response in their body. In the short run, that's a very adaptive, positive thing. Like when a lion sees you and you need to run, that's a good thing. Or a bus, you need to get out of the way. But the thing about our bodies, we're unique from all other species on the planet. We're able to, in the theater of our mind, create stress. We can ruminate about a mistake or worry about something coming up, and that activates the same process in your body as if a lion was standing next to you. And when that's chronic, that causes chronic disease. It's a direct link. And so, you know, by the time we get a 45-year-old, they've been stressed out since they're 22 and got their first job, and it starts showing up in their biology in a big way. And so what you're seeing with these young tech guys, and it's not just tech, I mean, it can be a PT who's 28, a physical therapist, is that they've put themselves in this maximum stress position. They don't understand how to break that cycle or self-regulate. And so the body starts giving them clues like anxiety or depression or fatigue, and they don't know how to resolve it. And that's what we do for people. We teach them how to do that.
Now, is stress the culprit of, like you're saying, the fatigue and the lack of energy? That's obviously from stress. What about the extra weight or the bad sleeping? Is that also from the stress, or are those different triggers?
They're usually all linked. And so stress usually will start the process. And then when you don't sleep well and you're under stress, what happens is your body actually craves more carbs and sugars and causes more eating of those things, which then now your sleep's bad, your stress is bad. You're putting on weight because of the bad stress and sleep, which then creates the belly fat, which then creates the lack of energy because you don't feel like moving because you're tired every day. You don't feel like going to the gym. And so you see how that's a vicious cycle.
I'm laughing because it's not funny, but it's ironic because you're just basically in this horrible hamster wheel. Like Newton's, I think, third law, object at rest tends to stay at rest. It's the second,
it is.
Third one.
And our modern life promotes that lifestyle. And then when you consider the American diet where everything's on convenience, and so it's all glucose and carbs and sugars, and you're too tired then to cook and make a good meal. And so you're living off these cheap foods. And so that also cascades this negative cycle as well.
Now, the flip side of that, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. I have a feeling, that's better for healthy and movement and metabolism and all that stuff and just energy production, and you'll sleep better because you're actually burning energy instead of storing it.
That's correct.
Shouldn't you take a break, though? Because I'm thinking of some people that they're productive, they're successful, they're this, that, but they never stop to enjoy anything.
That's an excellent question. In my book, I illustrate that with a graphic. You have to oscillate. Okay. So this is a video so you can see it, but you kind of got to go like this. Okay. You got to oscillate. Think about an athlete. Does the Detroit Lions play games 7 days a week? No, they don't. There's a rhythm. They have a performance on a Sunday and then they go into recovery cycles. Now I know in business, we can't, work 1 day a week and then practice the rest of the week. But what we do, and this is what I did for 30 years, is we get up in the morning and we go and we never stop other than have a lunch. And then we go until 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then we get up the next morning, we do the same thing. And we do that for 30 years. And what we introduce into people's lives when they start to work with us is first we teach them how to self-regulate through stress. We have a biofeedback tool they use right on their phone. It's really easy. And so now they start to realize, oh, I can feel differently. And then we teach them, 2 or 3 times during the day, just stop for 5 or 10 minutes and do this exercise. And by doing that, you're setting up your biology down to be a peak performer because you're giving it a little mini rest throughout the day. And then we teach them to have a cycle time once a week, and then maybe a couple days a quarter, and then a couple of big breaks, like a week at a time, twice, 3 times a year. And so you build this rhythm of recovery into your life. And what that does is it actually makes you more sustainable as an individual.
I love that you're talking about that. I noticed a few years ago, just through self-evaluation and what I was doing with book launches and helping my clients and stuff, I started taking Wednesdays off, basically. I'd go
Brilliant.
hard Monday and Tuesday, take Wednesday off, do a little bit Thursday, and I've pretty much always just Friday's a whatever I want to do day.
Uh-huh.
But Tuesday, it was like all in. Monday was like prep. Tuesday was all in and hit it hard, get everything done. And
Yep.
you know, then you have that recovery. And then on the recovery day, my only goals were really go get the haircut and go to the gym.
See, you're in the 1% group. Nobody does that. That's an excellent habit practice right there.
Does it matter on the day of the week? Do
Nope,
you think? Or is it just
it-
don't kill yourself 5 days a week or 6 days a week?
6, I'd say 6. I don't, if you're listening to me right now, you don't need to take Wednesdays off. I mean, that's really forward thinking, but Mario, you've created a life where you have the flexibility to do that. Not everybody has that.
You're
Well,
just
I would
saying
say
no matter if it's a day of the week or a time
what
in
day?
the day, just don't go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right. Yeah. I personally, Saturday and Sunday, I'm off.
Same
I
here.
recover 2 days a week, and then I go hard 5 days a week, but I have three to 4 recovery cycles every day. Every day in the middle of the day, I go for about a 40-minute walk. I take 10-minute breaks after my first 90-minute time block. We call them flow blocks in our training program. At the end of that 90 minutes, I breathe for 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, good. I'm reset. Now I can go for another hour. And I happened on Tuesdays, I call it my Turbo Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I will do 5 major flow blocks from 8 in the morning until 7 at night. And then I will get more done on Tuesday than most people get done in a month.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now I've switched it. I will say this. This was a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
I now go to the salon every other Monday, so that way it's ready for the show on Tuesday.
There you go.
And I know that might seem like a lot, but you probably don't need a haircut every week. I know it was
I
just
don't.
Wednesday was it may have sounded like I went every week, but I've never, well, there's a few times it was a week and a half, but whatever. The point is just set up your life the way it works in your favor.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
That's
I want
correct.
to ask you, who's your biggest success story? From other than yourself, because yours is impressive, but who would you say is someone that started working with you and they're just completely transformed 180 also?
I love it. We got more than a dozen, but I will tell you 2. One is Patrick Chambers. He's a former Big Ten basketball coach at Penn State. And when we started working with him, his team came off their worst season in his 8 years there. And he had a famous episode where he blew up on national TV at University of Michigan with one of his players and got in trouble for it. And he told me, he says, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm snapping at everybody. And that cannot happen. But right now, I don't know when I predict when it's going to happen. And he also was sleeping a couple hours a night. That was it. Even though he was trying to sleep 8 hours. And so we started working with him. We started with the basics with our heart rate variability, stress regulation program. And he did fantastic with that. That really calmed him down. And when he went into his last season there, before he decided to resign, he took a year off, and now he's working his way back into coaching. He wanted to do a reset like I did. And his team ended up having one of the best seasons they ever had in program history because he was calmer, which his players then, he was no longer interference in his players' heads, and his players could be free and easy, and they played better. We also worked with about probably 5 to 7 of the starter players that year also on the same program. And they went on to finish in the upper third of the Big Ten from the bottom the year before with the same players and get an invitation to the national, the NCAA tournament. And then COVID wiped that out. But then he went into our medical program and he turned around all of his key biomarkers. And he's right on our front page of our Tiger PI website, and you can see his 7-8 minute video where he tells the story about how this impacted him. He said, I sleep great. I sleep like 7 hours a night now instead of 2. He doesn't have those anger issues anymore. He has a great relationship with his wife and his kids that maybe wasn't there before. And he said, I was a better coach. And so that's one. Another one that's got maybe more specific numbers. We had a guy, he's also on the website. His name is Ernie. He has a nationwide real estate business. And when he started to work with us, he was probably 30 pounds overweight, wasn't able to walk very far, has a 15-year-old son who's in the Eagle Scout program for Boy Scouts. And he had and this is all public knowledge, triglyceride levels of 556, and normal is 150, 100 to 150. So that measures your fat content in your blood. So he was at very, very high risk for stroke or heart attack. And he worked with our doctor for 8 months. And I saw him about a month ago. He was so excited. His doctor called him and said, what miracle thing have you done? Your triglycerides are 140. And he lost 30 pounds. And he's taking his son, he's going with his son on a 65-mile hike with the Boy Scouts. It's part of their rite of passage for Eagle Scouts. And he never could have done that before. So what's the value of that memory with the dad, with his son, that he couldn't do before?
Priceless.
Those couple of stories, it's priceless. Exactly. Yep.
Wow.
So that's what we do with people. We optimize their body and we set them up for greater longevity through genetic testing and brain scanning and advanced blood testing that you can't get at a normal doctor because the insurance industry won't support it. These doctors aren't bad. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just we don't accept insurance. So we do everything around what's the best outcome for the client and the patient. So we don't have any of those restrictions. And so we do all that. And yeah, their health is better. They feel better. Right now we have a 100% success rate. However, what's really valuable is you take that mid-career person who, when they were young, they had all kinds of time and no money, and and they had their health. You get into the middle years and you got a little bit of all of it, but you don't have much time because you're chasing kids and building your career. And then you get a little bit older and now you got time again and you got money, but your health can start faltering. And right at the moment when you should be your best, like the most wise, the most intuitive, have the best network, your business is in a great spot. And now you get sick.
Yeah.
And you can't be with your grandkids and your great grandkids. And that's really what we're offering people, is to get that back.
Second half of their life. What's that worth?
Worth a lot. Steve Jobs, at the end, all the money in the world couldn't buy him one more day. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying we could have solved Steve Jobs' cancer. I'm making a point.
No, I understand. I mean, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
No, I love the quote. It's the man who has his health has 1,000 dreams. The one who doesn't has only one.
Yeah. I was just thinking of that one.
Were you?
Yeah. That's fantastic. Love what you're doing. So glad you're getting to share it. I got one question for you before we go to the imperfect action round.
Yeah.
And that is the magical wheel of whatever. What color would you like, yellow or black?
Black.
Where is it at? Black. There we go. It's real official. Out of all the people you've been able to help and all the people you want to help, who is someone you would love to work with that you haven't yet? Wow,
that's a great question. Someone I would love to work with that I haven't yet. Somebody, who would be great is he's struggled with alcoholism, and I'm sure his health is pretty compromised, is Ben Affleck. He's such a great actor.
Oh, no kidding. I was thinking of Robert Downey Jr.
That too. Yeah. But Ben Affleck is a great guy. He's a great actor. He's had, everybody has their demons in life, and that's his. And I know that we could really help him. And that would be a wonderful option. We've already worked with a Big Ten coach. And, we don't have to work with famous people. I just, we really enjoy working with that average person who's worked hard their whole life, and they just want to be in a position where they kind of push that date out between what we call the health wealth trade-off. When that point comes where you can no longer enjoy your wealth. Like my dad and mom are 80 now, or almost 80. And, my dad has multiple chronic diseases, and I could give him $5 million tomorrow and he can't use it. He can't go anywhere. He can't do anything. And we call that date when you're at that point, the health wealth trade-off. And what we're trying to do for folks is push that out into the future as far as we can.
Well, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because I don't think there's anyone who couldn't benefit from it.
I agree. And it's not an inexpensive program at the top end, but we have other much more affordable programs, especially if you're younger. If you start with us in those levels, you don't need the larger program later because you've taken such good care of yourself. But, at the end of the day, I look at it this way is, we spend 25 or 50 or $100,000, on condos, vacations, cars, and all of that. Invest some money in your health for
5-7 days, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. And so maybe stretch a little bit, call grandma and borrow some money and set yourself. Because the thing about our program is we don't just get you through it. We actually teach you how to be your own best coach for the rest of your life. Like we equip you so that you don't need us after that first year. We have a renewal program, but you can coach yourself and keep yourself there.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing what you have. We're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the imperfect action round. You're already the expert, but have you transformed your expertise into a tangible asset that will generate and qualify leads while increasing profit for you 24/7? And if so, how well are you promoting it? With the Expert Authority Effect publishing method, it's easier and faster than ever. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com to get started now. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. And we are back with the imperfect action round. Are you ready to take imperfect action?
I'm ready.
Got 3 questions for you. The first one is, what is the fastest path to the cash?
Marketing partners.
Excellent. Number 2, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
Our prospects, the biggest problem is the failure to recognize they have a problem.
Okay.
And the fastest action is to, if I'm selfish, it's get on a call with me and I'll help you have self-awareness and out of a good heart to try to help them understand, what they could be facing if they don't change.
And I'll say it's not selfish because I can tell you do want to help them. And
I really do.
If you wanted to give unbiased, you could say, well, get some feedback, but the question is, how are you going to do it? Get feedback that's appropriate, that helps make the change if it's not from someone who knows what the heck they're talking about. And if you could do it on your own, you wouldn't have done it. You would have done it already.
I agree. I was case in point and I crashed. Yep.
Number 3. Oh, good. That's a good one. I've only asked it 300 plus times. What is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
First of all, look at them that way and make long-term investments in them, but also is to have a product ascension ladder so that you can sell them multiple products and have a continuity income model where they're getting real value for an ongoing relationship with you when they finish. And then also, Mario, we have a cognitive enhancement program for, if you don't want to forget the question anymore.
That's great.
That's a little joke.
Off script, and I love doing it because I want to bring the best to Expert Authority World, but it's not the first time I've been like, what are we supposed to be doing? What's the cadence here? But I don't want it so robotic that it's like no one wants to.
I understand.
That's funny. We'll make sure there's a link on the on your show notes on eainterviews.com. Oh geez. So the next question is about the books. What books would you recommend to Expert Authority World?
Oh, what books? Biohacking Your Brain. I can't remember the author. Also, a classic is Good to Great in terms of building your business. And then I'm going to be, I wrote a really good book. I'm getting great feedback called Unleash the Peak Performer Within You. And this book goes into detail about what we talked about today and a lot more about how to optimize your health and how to work in a flow state, how to build a team that works in flow.
I love that you're talking about that, and I love getting into it myself because whether I'm doing the show or publishing another book or just copywriting for marketing and helping people, it's fun to just be like, the world might be on fire, but it will be that way tomorrow. It's like you don't need to attack every little problem when you have all these distractions. Like when I'm writing a chapter in my book, you can't be like, okay, I got 3 sentences now, let's go deal with this, then write 3 more and then go deal with something
No.
else. And you got to be like, phew. And once you get into it, oh my
Yep.
gosh, it's so fun. It's like, where'd this come from? And time goes
Exactly.
by, it's like I just came up with 20 versions of the cover or something, or 5 chapters and my goal was to write one of them, or whatever the case is.
Right.
It's a great place. I love that you talked about it, and it really is exponential.
It is. And it's nothing more complicated than martial attention on one thing for 60 to 90 minutes. But
Yeah.
it's complicated to get there, and you have to have a lot of things going for you to get there.
Where would you like people to learn more?
Tigerpi.com. Tigerpi.com. That's our performance website. We have a sister company called Tiger Medical Institute that you can learn about that on tigerpi.com.
Okay.
And then you can also, if you want to get my book, we have a free book plus shipping offer. You can just go to tigerpi.com/book. Or for about the same money, you can just go on Amazon and get it. Unleash the Peak Performer Within You.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for sharing everything you have. It was, I have no doubt, I got a lot out of it. I want to learn more, and I'm sincerely so glad you're doing what you're doing, because anyone can talk about a lot of subjects, but very few are talking about how to live better, how to have better health, and how to be the peak performer in all aspects, not just I have a successful company. It's like that's all well and good, and by all means, but if you don't have your health,
Yep.
what else do you have?
I agree, because that company can be a platform for so much good. And so we got to make sure the $1 billion asset, which is you, is taken care of to be able to leverage that. And so, yeah, if you get on the website and you want to talk to me, just schedule a call, and it won't be a sales call. It'll be a question session. So,
Excellent. Well, thanks for making that available.
you're welcome. Thank you, Mario. I appreciate for having me on the show.
Well, I appreciate everything you've shared. All right, Expert Authority World, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and God bless.